So if you notice, Tim's got his loader bucket up in the air and his hood open. Well, that's because I've got my first semi-major issue on this tractor. It's got 24.7 hours on the tractor. And I've already got an issue that pretty much stops it in place. Just so I can double check myself on the hours. Yep, 24.7 hours on this tractor. No issues or nothing here showing up. When I was mowing on the tractor, just a couple acres, radiator somewhere in there in the system just started spewing antifreeze everywhere. So we pulled it over, let it cool down, popped the hood, and I believe it is the reservoir on top of the radiator. It looks like it's split along the seam. Now I'm not 100% sure yet because I haven't taken it apart, but now that I've got it nice and cold, I'm gonna start digging into this thing. But not even to 25 hours, and I've got my first issue that is stopping me from using it. So let's see what it is. So as you can see here, it's pretty clean. When it did have the issue, I stopped the tractor, like I said, and I let it cool down because it was just spraying so much in here. I didn't know where it was coming from. I did think it was the reservoir up here, but I didn't know if it was a hose popped off or what. But I let it cool down, came in, sprayed it all down with the water hose, got it all cleaned out. The screens were dirty, so I'm sure it was getting warm, but they weren't horrible. So it shouldn't have been overheating, and I never got a light or anything on the inside saying it was overheating. So anyways, I got it all cleaned up, and I did, once it cooled off, I topped off the radiator, and then I topped off the reservoir, and that's also what's making me think it's the reservoir, because when I fill the reservoir up past this seam here, it starts leaking back there in the back. It looks like it's coming right out from the seam back there in the back, but I'm not going to know that until I get it off because this big metal pipe right here is in the way. So I'm going to have to take this thing off and inspect it, but I know it's leaking from this somewhere, either a hose connection or something. It's from that. But either way, I did, like I said, top it off, put 50/50 in here, and I can't get it to the minimum line. I mean, I did fill it to that, but then it just went right back down to this. So I'm going to take this off and inspect that and see where it's coming from. All right, so to get the reservoir off, as you can see, I got this auxiliary tank up here off. It's right here. To do that properly, I mean, you probably can take it off without taking this air breather off, but it's in there pretty tight, and I didn't want to break or bind anything. So I took the air cleaner off just in the front, these two 12mm bolts in the front, and I just moved it over, which gave me more than enough room to get in here and access it. And then it's just 3 bolts here holding that on. Took those 3 off. I think it's 4 hoses and a sensor. That the sensor just unscrews. It's this one back here in the back. And then the 4 hoses are all on there with hose clamps. And that's it. So the hoses, I just put them up to lose the least amount of antifreeze. And I did find the problem. It's got a big gap in one side of the seam. So let me get this out of the wind and show you what I'm talking about. So here's the date on it, 2023-01-05. And I'm thinking this could be a batch problem. I'm not sure. But if you notice around here, you can see there's like this melted portion of the seam. And it looks like it, you know, binded really well. And then it gets to here and it's just not melted to the bottom part. So from here all the way to here, this bottom section of the tank here, where you would think would be pressure, and then this would get melted together to create that seam. But like I said, from here all the way to here, it's not even touching. It's just not melted together. There's no good seam welded there. And this is where the fluid's pouring out. So what I really think has happened is I've got 24.7 hours on this. I've never got the tractor hot enough to make the coolant bubble up enough to where it needed to go past this seam, which I've only got 24.7. Most of that was bringing up hay, doing a little bit of mowing, moving some stuff around with some pallet forks. I mean, yeah, I probably never really got it hot. So 2 acres was starting to get it warm enough to where this coolant was coming up beyond this seam and coming out here. So the overflow to relieve the pressure from the tank to keep it from splitting or anything like that is way up here. So the fluid would have to get hot enough to expand all the way up to here before the overflow actually worked. So that wasn't happening. It wasn't that hot yet. It was letting it out the seam. And I don't know, I don't think this is the seam, it's the other side, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and put water though again in this and test out all the way around. This isn't something that broke. This is something that came from the factory not working properly. So I was gonna ignore warranty and just buy this myself because I don't wanna drive an hour and a half to my dealer, drop it off, drive an hour and a half back home, wait a month for warranty to ship the part, prove it, do all of that, and then me drive another hour and a half there, pick up the tractor, and drive another hour and a half home. So I don't want to spend 6 hours of driving, my time, fuel, mileage, then however many hours it's going to take me loading, unloading, talking to the service manager, you know, doing whatever it is we need to do is way more money and time than just buying a new one of these for 200 bucks. So that's what I was going to do. But I'm going to take pictures of this, show them how it's leaking. You can tell this wasn't something that I broke or I did wrong. This was something wrong as soon as that tractor was put together and shipped out the door. So they shouldn't even blink an eye at sending me a replacement for this. We'll see. It is specifically this side that's leaking, and I've got it sitting like this because I don't want anything coming out of these two holes or these two holes over here. And if you notice, it's probably hard to see in the video, it's not coming out as much as I was expecting it to. I'm pretty sure when I filled this thing up, maybe it was still pretty warm. It is leaking. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, but I can put my finger over it. As you can see, that's not just what's there. I mean, it is dripping down. And if I left this sit here, it would keep going down. It's coming out a pretty decent amount. It's filled up the little crevice. You can see it's flowing from that little piece of dust there. And it's flowing down into the crack on my tailgate. That's why it doesn't look like it's getting worse, because it's actually going into my tailgate. Anyways, here, this might be a good way to show you. If I pick this thing straight up, that's how much it's dripping. And it's dripping right out of the seam right here underneath where this date is. And like I said, I thought it was dripping quite a bit more than that because it went from minimum down to the seam when I topped it off pretty quick. I mean, I saw it coming down the side of the tractor, but this is not dripping as fast as it was when I filled everything up and topped it off. But again, it's just coming out right here. I've walked around the whole plastic piece, couldn't find anywhere else it's leaking. Just this part of the seam wasn't mechanically put together properly. And I could probably come in here and plastic weld this, but for a $50,000 tractor, which is a good deal for that size tractor, but still, this shouldn't be a problem. And again, they shouldn't give me a problem on warranty. I'm not trying to dog the tractor at all, because every tractor has problems. I've had 3 brand new tractors. I've had a brand new John Deere, a brand new LS, and a brand new TYM, and they all have issues. The TYM is new, so this is really the first problem I've had. But again, I'm not even going to say this is a problem with the TYM tractors. This is a defect from the factory. This should have been caught. But I mean, I get it. Maybe it never got hot enough for this to be shown. My worry though is this is a defect in their process, and this has been a big problem for them. And maybe they already have some kind of, probably not a recall, but some kind of memo on this that says, hey, these leak. Either way, I'm going to tell you when I get all the information back on how hard this was to get replaced. I will follow up with a video on this to see, did TYM come through perfectly, get me this, let me put it in myself, not have to drive 6 hours and deal with a bunch of waste for, you know, a $200 tank? Or did I have to go through, you know, a nightmare process to get this through warranty and then eventually give up and buy it myself? So either way, I'm going to call them on Monday. If I don't get something positive from them really quickly, I'm probably going to repair this myself because I can't be without the tractor for a month or two. But I'm assuming that they're going to do what's right and get me a new tank. We'll start the process tomorrow. All right, well, I hope this information was helpful. Please subscribe to the channel, follow along. I bought the TYM tractor. This is not some sponsored channel. Obviously, I'm not a big enough channel for them to want to give a tractor or loan a tractor to. I do use this tractor, and I plan on letting you know how great it was or how horrible it was. So We'll find out from warranty. Again, subscribe to the channel, like the video, especially if you want to know what happens here. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll get you a video shortly. Thank you very much for watching. Y'all take care.